Welcome to Inside the Gators ranking of the top 10 most important commitments to date. I'm Chris Will. Let's get started. Florida currently sits in the top 10 in team recruiting rankings on the On3 consensus. Now, there's still room for a couple more prospects to jump on board before the early signing period begins in just a few weeks from now in mid-December. So while we wait for signing day, let's take a look at the 10 most important commitments to date. Keep in mind, these are our 10 most important commitments, not the 10 highest ranked. Coming in at number 10 is Najee Harris. Normally, you don't expect a high school player to come in and make an immediate contribution along the line in the SEC, but Harris can be the exception to that rule for a couple reasons. First, with Osiris Torrance graduating and Josh Braun announcing his transfer, Florida is thin along the interior of the offensive line. Combine that with the fact that Harris has good size and has gained strength over the spring and summer heading into his senior season, and then also combine that with the fact that he's facing top competition day in and day out at IMG Academy, and he could fill a hole in the 2 deep next season. Next up at number 9 is Cameron James. Though he has great upside because of his length and mobility, he is nowhere near being one of the top 40 prospects in the nation as he is ranked by On3. While it is flattering, what that ranking could do is put undue pressure on him to live up to unrealistic expectations out of the gate. He could potentially be a good one, but let's be realistic. He comes in this high on our top 10 because of Florida's need for bodies at defensive tackle. At number 8 is Sharif Denson. He doesn't have the size of Jakeem Jackson or Dijon Johnson, but out of the 3, if they were suiting up today and I needed to lock the opponent's best receiver on a third down play, I'm taking Denson over the other 2. He is a true cover corner who is being vastly underrated up to this point. Roderick Kearney comes in at number 7, much the same as with Harris. The ranking is in part due to Florida's need at the position. I don't know that his ceiling is as high as Harris, but he gets the nod here because you can look at where he was 2 years ago through today and tell that he is serious about playing at the highest level in college. He has transformed his body and looks college ready at the moment. Also, by landing him, Florida improved their chances with getting his friend Lucas Simmons, even if ever so slightly. Moving ahead to number 6 is Dijon Johnson. The first question to be answered is where he will line up. Is it corner? Is it safety? Is it star? After that is answered, we'll get a much better feel for where he fits in. Regardless, anyone who has watched a Gator game this year understands that there is a need for talent across the secondary, and wherever he lines up, Johnson will improve that position. Moving into the top half of the rankings at number 5 is Kelby Collins. If this countdown was based strictly on the win factor, Collins would be much higher at the top, considering Florida legitimately beat out Alabama and Georgia for his services. Besides that, he is probably the most college-ready lineman out of Florida's current group of defensive line pledges. He is pretty filled out for his height, so does he get to 290 pounds or does he stay and play at the 270 range? Next up at number 4 is Aiden Mizell. After a stellar junior season, Mizell suffered through an injury-plagued senior season that saw him get hurt at the very beginning of the year. If healthy though, he brings something that just simply can't be taught: a ridiculous straight line speed. And the good news is, he isn't a track star dabbling in football. He actually has shown the ability to put his speed to use on the gridiron. It wouldn't be surprising if no more than 3 of 4 current receivers were on the roster next season, leaving plenty of opportunity for some of these incoming wideouts to get immediate playtime. Kicking off the top 3 is Jakeem Jackson. He might be the best all-around athlete on the commitment list and one of the fastest, with the exception of maybe Mizell. Out of Kissimmee, Florida, Osceola is one of the top programs in the central part of the state, and they are run like a college football feeder program from their workouts to their practices. I have a feeling Jackson is going to hit the ground running, no pun intended. Florida is going to have to fight to hold on to him with both Kentucky and Miami looming. Moving up to number 2 is Eugene Wilson. If he had just a little bit more size to him, he might be ranked number 1 overall. As it is though, he is a lightning in a bottle. He needs to add a little size and strength to be a real difference maker in the SEC, but seeing him in person back in August, he might have been even a little smaller than his listed 5'11", 165. If he can put on a little bit of bulk while maintaining his quickness and speed, the SEC better watch out. And rounding up the top 10 at number 1 is Jaden Rashada. Now, he isn't sitting at number 1 in our countdown of the top 10 most important commitments to date because he is the top rated pledge on the On3 consensus. He comes in at number 1 for several other reasons. First and foremost being that if Anthony Richardson does go pro after the season, there will be a large hole for the Gators in the quarterback room. Also, he is Billy Napier's biggest recruiting win to this point. Yes, Kamari Wilson was more highly rated, but there's a different feel when you pull a top tier quarterback from across the country. That's our top 10. I'll see you next time.